This is CNN Breaking News.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. We begin with breaking news. Former Trump advisor Roger Stone is in court right now, taking the stand and attempting to apologize for his Instagram posts. Stone posted on Monday a photo of Judge Amy Berman Jackson with what appears to be the crosshairs of a gun in the corner, the caption referencing the, quote, deep state hitman Robert Mueller and calling his case a, quote, show trial. The blurring you see of the judge's image is CNN's own blurring. Stone deleted the picture soon after and reposted, this time without the crosshairs. He later took down that post as well. Minutes ago on the stand, Stone told Judge Jackson he was kicking himself for the post, saying he was heartfully sorry, but Stone could not explain who sent him that particular photo, and he claimed he did not recognize the crosshairs at first. Stone was arrested and charged last month with lying to congressional investigators about his efforts to communicate with WikiLeaks to try to damage Hillary Clinton during the 2016 presidential election. CNN's Sarah Murray's been in the courtroom today. And Sarah, I understand there's a ruling just in?
Yes, that's right. The judge has decided to gag Roger Stone completely. We have our folks inside the courtroom. We have folks outside the courtroom. This is just now coming from the judge. Remember, Roger Stone had a fairly tailored gag order before. He just couldn't speak about the case around this courthouse. Now the judge has said, no, Mr. Stone, I'm not giving you another chance. This is after Roger Stone decided to take the stand in his own defense. But the judge said that his apology rung hollow. She didn't feel like his testimony was credible. And now she's saying he cannot make any statements about the investigation or any participants in the investigation, not on the radio, no press releases, no media interviews, nothing on social media. And Jake, you could tell the judge was very aggravated when she was in court today. She felt that Roger Stone was shifting in his stories of how this post came to be. There were a lot of questions from her as well as from prosecutors about why he posted that image twice, his role in it, and he wasn't able to answer their question about where the image came from in the first place, which seemed to be a point of frustration for the judge in particular, Jake. And
Sarah, Stone took the stand. He did apologize for the post. He claimed he didn't know what that symbol meant that looked very much like a crosshairs, but it's also just not the photo and the crosshairs image. It's also the content of the caption.
Well, that's right, Jake. And the judge did say, look, there's nothing ambiguous about crosshairs. So she wasn't buying into this belief that Stone didn't know what that symbol meant or that maybe it stood for something else. She pointed that out. But she and the prosecutor also pointed out that he then, had this caption that he wrote on the Instagram post, which took aim at the judge. It took aim at special counsel Robert Mueller. And then he continued to do interviews. He went on InfoWars and said that this was all something the media was ginning up to make him look bad. And so she really felt that his statements around this Instagram post in interviews didn't reflect what he was showing up in court and trying to deliver as this heartfelt apology. And that's why the judge, I think, Jake, said that this rang hollow.
All right. David Ervine is going to join us and talk about this. Sarah Murray, thank you so much. David Ervine, I want to go right to you. Stone trying to play dumb on the stand here. Crosshairs, Instagram post. The judge was just not buying it.
Yeah, it's hard to understand how when you're looking down the barrel of a bunch of years in prison, that you don't understand when the judge says, don't say things about, don't go outside these two lines, and you go far afield of that. You don't understand there's going to be repercussions. It's pretty hard to, it's pretty incredulous.
The judge was clearly concerned that Stone was trying to incite something.
Yeah.
And she said she was not convinced that he was just all talk, no action, that she thought he was trying to get somebody to do something potentially to her. Do you think there's that much strategy going on in Roger Stone's head?
I don't know if he specifically thought that posting this would then lead directly to someone doing something. But the insinuation is absolutely there. I mean, Roger Stone, this is a pattern for him. This is something this behavior is not out of the ordinary. And it's so interesting that he would not be sitting in that courtroom today. He wouldn't have this spotlight on him had he not tied himself with Donald Trump. All of this that Roger Stone is quote unquote going through, because Roger Stone thinks he's the victim here, but whatever, is because he tied himself to Donald Trump. So look, these antics,
because he lied.
And because he lied, but again, I wouldn't put it past him, Jake, that Roger Stone had lied previously. But because previously in various other instances, but specifically because Roger Stone has tied himself to Donald Trump, he's gotten mixed up into the mess of his candidacy and now the presidency. He is sitting in this courtroom for antics that he regularly engages in.
It is odd, Paul, that a president of the United States would be associated with somebody like this. I mean, there are sleazy people in all walks of life, but normally there's at least one person who's a buffer between the politician and the sleaze.
Well, and Mr. Stone has been close to this president for 40 years. He's probably got the longest political relationship with Donald Trump of anybody. Was key to his activities in Atlantic City, pushed him in previous times to run, maybe for governor of New York, maybe for president. They're terribly close. They're very, very close. And I know Mr. Stone likes to sort of hold himself out in public as a merry prankster. And this is not a prank. This is not a joke. Well, you know, there was a federal judge murdered when Gabby Giffords was shot in 2011 in Tucson, Judge John Roll. We don't even have to go back except to 2017 when Steve Scalise, a Republican congressman, was murdered by a political terrorist who wanted to kill Republicans.
He survived. I mean,
he survived. He was shot. He was not. Thank God he's still with us.
Very serious.
There are really evil people out there, and those of us in the public eye had to be really careful not to incite violence. So you post a picture of a judge with crosshairs. That's just not a mistake. That could be incitement.
Antoni?
Totally agree. I think we've seen far too much incendiary rhetoric going on for far too long. I think we've seen anti-Semitism on the rise in New York, all over the world. I think we need to just settle down and stop with this kind of chicanery and all of that.
I want to bring in the former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Ellie Honig. Ellie, what did you make of Roger Stone's explanation this afternoon in court for the Instagram post, his claim that it was not intended to be threatening?
It was extremely Roger Stone-ish. And by that, I mean, he was trying to have it both ways, and it was highly non-credible. This idea that he didn't know how the image got on his phone, he didn't know how the image got posted, he didn't know which of his volunteers, I don't know who's volunteering for Roger Stone, but he didn't know which of his volunteers did this. And three bad things came out of this hearing for Roger Stone. One, he's got a complete gag order on him now. Two, the prosecutor and the judge both said on the record that they found Stone's testimony not credible. That's going to have a major hit if and when he gets sentenced down the line. There are sentencing enhancements for giving false testimony. And three, Stone still could be looking at a new federal charge. And at the end of the hearing, when the judge says on the record in front of the prosecutor, I found that post to be threatening. If I'm back in the prosecutor's chair, I'm going back to my office and I'm going to my chief and I'm saying, we need to think hard about whether we're charging him for the federal crime of threatening a federal judge.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, was it not wise for the defense to put him on the stand, to put Roger Stone on the stand?
It was incredibly risky. I was shocked when we found out that this was happening. I think their thought was this is the only way we can avoid having a more restrictive gag order put on. So they rolled the dice a little bit, but boy, did it backfire on him terribly.
Are you surprised at the way the judge spoke with him? I mean, I know obviously nobody likes to be threatened or feel like they're being threatened, and there are greater punishments in this country for threats and crimes against people who are symbols of law enforcement, whether police officers or judges. But her tone was really very, very sharp.
Yeah, I give her a lot of credit, Judge Jackson. She's shown before she had a piece of the Manafort case. She is a no-nonsense judge. Her ruling was not at all mealy-mouthed. She came right out and said what needed to be said. She understands probably as well as anybody that there are real threats out there to judges, prosecutors, defense lawyers. And she really could have sent him to jail. I've had criminal defendants in cases I've handled sent to jail for far less than putting an image of rifle crosshairs over the shoulder of a judge. I've had defendants remanded for getting caught smoking marijuana, for missing curfew, for minor things like that. So in a sense, Roger Stone should be thanking his lucky stars that he gets to walk out the front door of that courtroom today.
I want to go back to Sarah Murray, who's at the courthouse. Sarah, do we have any indication if Stone does anything like this again, which, let's face it, he could, what the punishment will be, what the repercussion will be?
Yeah, she warned him, Jake, in court that he could be detained. She pointed out to him that there was not going to be a third chance. If he violated this order, he could be detained. And look, he's not allowed to talk publicly about this case. There are a few exceptions. He can ask for money for his legal defense fund. He can say he's innocent, and that's about it. He can still talk publicly about any other subjects. You know, this is one of the arguments Roger Stone and his attorneys made, that he makes his money being able to speak publicly, and she's still preserving that right for him, but she's giving him a very stern warning, Jake. That's always been one of the concerns about Roger Stone, that if you put a gag order on his case, he could just decide to violate it. And she's saying, look, if you decide to do that, I'm not afraid to put you in jail.
All right, Sarah, thanks so much. David Ervine?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Roger Stone has played the caricature of Roger Stone.
Here's Roger Stone. Just to point out, that's Roger Stone walking out of court right now with his team.
So he's played this character for his entire career. And, today I think he kind of went up against the wall of what the line is too far. He's always pushed the line. And I think he went over that line today and found out he got smacked down pretty hard by the judge.
And let's just remember why we're even covering this. Roger Stone is referenced by Mueller during the indictment of Roger Stone. It said, quote, after the July 22nd, 2016 release of stolen DNC emails by Organization One, that's WikiLeaks, a senior Trump campaign official was directed to contact Stone about any additional releases and what other damaging information Organization One, that's WikiLeaks, had regarding the Clinton campaign. Mueller also claims to have direct evidence of Stone's contacts with WikiLeaks, which U.S. officials say has ties to Russian intelligence. So I mean, it's not just a freak show. There is a significance in terms of the Mueller investigation here.
Right. The accusations against Stone are not only that he lied, but that perhaps in these documents they're indicating he could have been central to a conspiracy to invade the United States by means of cyber invasion, which is what the Russians did in the 2016 election. If that's deadly serious stuff, I mean, Roger could go to jail for a very long time. And I think David's right that he somehow seems to not understand the gravity of his situation.
So, I think at the end of the day, I think you're going to find out that, there's no big smoking gun there between Roger Stone and the Russians other than Roger Stone's own hubris and, standing up and taunting the special counsel, saying, I haven't been indicted, I haven't been called before the grand jury, I've done nothing. And, you saw him coming out of this courthouse completely differently than he came out of the courthouse after he was arrested, in the Nixonian pose and almost enjoying it, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't look like he was enjoying walking out right there.
Absolutely not. I do want to say to your point about that there's no smoking gun here. Look, I think the fact that Roger Stone has been charged, is in the courtroom repeatedly, shows that there is some there. Look, the special counsel says there are these emails, but her emails, okay, we're back to talking about emails yet again, almost 4 years later, about his emails. And so there is some, I've always said, where there's smoke, there's fire. And this may not be the fire, that some of my very good progressive friends have been looking for, but this is a type of fire. It seems to be that Roger Stone was instrumental in orchestrating the release of the emails from WikiLeaks, or some type.
Or at least trying to find out more.
This is a dumpster fire started by Roger Stone.
And it's not. And I just want to note, as someone that I was on the campaign trail in 2016. We are going back into a presidential election season. Yeah. That is not normal. You should not have this kind of contact.
Everyone,
with
stick around. We're going to follow some more breaking news as Empire Act.